In this video, we're going to break down triangle pose, and we're going to take this from a very functional perspective. Now, in order to do so, we got to talk about what the purpose is of the posture. And for me, I think the purpose is to stretch the hip out, so taking the leg out to the side as much as you can, as well as stretching into the hamstring a little bit. So if that is the case, then we're going to start out by taking the legs a little bit shorter than arms span apart and turn your right toes towards the front of the mat. With the left toes, we're going to keep it pointing out to the side, because if you start to point it in a little bit, the more you point the back toes in, the more your hip points are going to face forward, the more you're going to stretch out into your hamstring. And now this becomes pyramid pose. Okay. Triangle pose. Keep the foot out to the side so that it keeps the focus on opening up this inner thigh, opening up the adductors. Now we're going to cover the upper body in a second, but just to get the legs set up properly, I want you to start out by squeezing the legs together, and you'll feel your glutes squeeze as well as the hamstring in the front leg and the inner thigh of the back leg. You don't need to point the hips directly out to the side. A lot of us, myself included, lack the range to do this completely with the leg out to the side in this active stretch position. Okay, so if that's the case, especially with the leg out straight, if that's the case, take the hip a little diagonally, and even though the foot is on the ground, you might have the range. It's going to start to make it into a passive posture, or this knee is going to drop in. You're going to have a lot of compensatory actions, okay? So keep the hips slightly diagonal. Squeezing the legs in towards each other. Now the legs are set up nicely. You don't need to cock the hips back or pull the hips back in order to dip down. The reason why you don't want to do that is if you cock the hips back, then it turns off this glute. And this is part of what you want to stretch secondarily, not primarily. Primarily is the inner thigh and slightly the hamstring, okay? So don't pull the hips back, keep it squeezing in towards each other. And then from here, you're going to try and turn the pelvis. You're not keeping the pelvis straight up, neutral here, and arching your back like this, because then you're starting to primarily stretch out into the side body, which is not the purpose, okay? So arms straight out to the side, and you're rotating along the hips, until you find a stretch that feels good in this inner thigh as well as the hamstring a little bit. For a lot of us, myself included, that's going to be right here, especially if I'm squeezing the legs in towards each other. So if you need a little bit more support, of course, put your hand down onto the thigh or hand here. I would say actually just stay right in this posture. If this is where you're at, this is what my triangle pose looks like whenever I take a class. Now, a lot of times you'll see people coming down here and doing this. The more you support yourself by putting the hand on the ground, the more passive you're making the posture. And even though this feels like a lot of sensation, the more you practice, the deeper you go in your practice, the longer in years you go in your practice, you're going to start to overstretch the muscle, and you're not really incorporating a lot of strength or stability. So if you're a beginner, I get it. This is going to feel nice, but I promise you in the long run, squeezing the legs together and holding this isometric stretch is going to be better for you. Okay? I hope that helps.